Do you see that? Are you sure? Is the little red dot there?
Yes.
Okay, am I asking?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, Pat. How did Martin Luther King Jr. influence civil rights?
He brought it to the forefront prior to his bringing, the problems of the South. People really didn't know what was happening in the South. People in the North didn't realize black people had to drink out of a separate water fountain. They couldn't eat in a white restaurant. They had to ride in the back of the bus. They went to segregated schools. And most people, when he brought that to the forefront, most people said, "What do you mean they went to segregated schools?" Because up north here, the schools were all weren't segregated. Blacks and whites, especially where I went to school, we were all in one class, but not down in the South. And he influenced the civil rights movement. One of the things that it resulted was, number one, the Civil Rights Voting Act. Down south, prior to that, the blacks, there weren't too many that voted because every voting district had certain rules that they required black voters to answer, and most of the rules, I would venture to say even the white voters could have answered. What was the Fifth Amendment? What was this? What was that? And if you couldn't answer it correctly, then sorry, pal, you can't vote. So they gave the voting right to the blacks. But even today, some of the southern states, they make it hard on blacks to vote, even though the right the Right to Vote Act was passed. And the other thing is that the desegregation of the schools in the South. That was another big thing that resulted from the civil rights movement, where the southern states couldn't have separate schools for blacks and whites. And that took a lot of, they had to send troops down there, the National Guard, to get the kids to go into the white schools. But yeah, he did a lot of good things. He brought forth the problems of the South that most of the country, never even heard of. And most of the people say, "What do you mean they couldn't go into a white restaurant? What do you mean they had to drink out of a separate water fountain?" They had water fountains that says blacks only. Now, can you imagine that here? So yeah, he brought that all out. So he did a good thing.
Okay.
Any more?
There's one more, but I'm going to change it because you answered it.
It was like flashing a little 1. I don't know how to stop.